Hello. Chali. Namaskar everybody. Good afternoon all. I welcome you all on the behalf of StudyIQ IS. My name is Pritesh Maturkar. I am the Senior Faculty of Geography, Environment and Ecology in StudyIQ IS. So I welcome you all to lecture number 3 of the Target UPSC 2026 series, guys. So as I promised to you all, the first two lectures were sort of introductory sessions where I discussed with you all as to how to approach the PYQs. So today marks a pivotal shift in our journey where I will now be discussing basically with all of you the past 27 years of PYQs of every topic. So now from today onwards, every Saturday, I will be picking up the topics and I will be discussing the past 27 years of PYQ so that you can have a good analysis of the trend. You can appreciate what clarity, what depth the UPSC needs for all of you to mark the right choice. And most importantly, can we predict the future year questions? So whatever I will be using on the board, this basically PDF of basically the past 27 years, it will be readily available on my Telegram handle. My Telegram handle out there is CSC with PM. So please feel free to join this Telegram handle where I will be sharing each and every PDF that I will be discussing on the board, each and every question. And also we will be discussing the requisite solutions too. So I welcome all of you, those who are watching me live right now. Subrata Kumar Sahu sir, good afternoon. Rest of you, those who are live right now, please feel free to comment because this is a live lecture. So I will be more interested if you keep on speaking with me. Remember, in this lecture series now, I will be demanding that yes, your basic concept should be good enough, or if you have not prepared still now, you will be getting the hit list of topics. You will be getting the hit list of the subtopics which you have to prepare so that you can score good marks out there. Okay. So first come first, I'll be starting off with the most important topic that we have in the syllabus of geography, that is the climatology. Because climatology today is the main area of focus. And when I'm talking about climatology, it's all about appreciating the averaged out weather. Weather will be nothing but the interplay of pressure, temperature, humidity, and all of that will be happening in the atmosphere. So, in a nutshell, when I'm talking about climatology, structure and composition of atmosphere, then temperature and pressure patterns, winds, aloft conditions, air masses, fronts, cyclones, and twists. These 7 topics are really very essential for all of you to revise, and then you will be able to solve the PYQs out there. So this is a PYQ of StudyIQ only. StudyIQ in the sense, this is a basically complete analysis of the past 27 years of PYQ which I'll be doing. This will be readily available on your Telegram handle CSC with PM just at is after the lecture. Okay, so good afternoon everybody. Good afternoon Kangar ma'am. Let us begin off with the discussions out there. So I will be starting off from 2024 and we will be going till approximately 2000. So past 27 years, rough and give and take. So till 1999, let's say, or till 2000, we'll be focusing on basically the PYQs out there. And you will be seeing a marked shift post-pandemic. So post-pandemic, post-COVID and pre-COVID, there is a marked shift in the discussions of the PYQs out there. So let us begin off with the first PYQ out there. Before I move ahead, everybody is able to see the board clearly? Subrata Kumar sir and Kanwar ma'am, please feel free to comment. Should I zoom in more? Is my audio and my video clear for everybody? If I zoom in more, are you all able to see it properly? Please give me your feedback. Chali, I guess it's good enough for everybody. And let us begin now with the discussion of the PYQs out there. So I'm considering question number 1, which came in the year 2024. This we have already discussed, but again, a good revision will be taking off the questions out there too. So statement number 1 is the thickness of the troposphere at the equator is much greater as compared to the poles. Then statement number 2, we have at the equator the heat is transported to great heights by strong conventional current. Which of this is correct? So statement 1 of course is correct, statement 2 is of course correct. So the correct answer is option number A. Both statements are correct and statement 2 correctly explains statement 1. How so? So for this we just need to remember that if I'm talking about the surface of earth and if I'm talking about the intervening layer called as tropopause. So tropopause, basically that layer which separates the troposphere from the stratosphere up there. So if I'm talking about 0-degree equator and if I'm talking about the 90-degree north and south, basically the poles out there. So we all know basically that at the equator the sun's rays are always going to be perpendicular. So the position of the equator is fixed. So as we are having perpendicular insolation, we will be having intense vertical convection, which basically pushes the height of tropopause or the height of troposphere above at the equator out there. So the height of troposphere at the equator is around 16 to 18 kilometers, and then at the poles it's barely 6 to 8 kilometers out there. Suppose they are naturally colder, the air is sinking. Here we have the equatorial low pressure belt and here we have the polar high pressure belt. And just a simple addition for each and every one of you. As the height is more, therefore the temperature over here is less. It is close to minus 80 degrees Celsius than at the poles, which is around minus 50 degrees Celsius. So please make sure that you understand and appreciate this too. So this is question number 1 of 2024. Now let us consider question number 2. Again, a PYQ of 2024 out there. Consider the following statements. The atmosphere is heated more by incoming solar radiation than by the terrestrial radiation. Carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are good absorbers of long wave radiation. So now this question is a classical example with respect to the normal lapse rate out there. So if I'm again talking about the troposphere, now how is the atmosphere typically heated? So when I'm talking about the heating of the atmosphere, let's say this is the surface of earth. The energy which is coming from the sun, this energy is in the form of which light? Guys, the gamma rays and the X-rays, they are basically absorbed or scattered by the earth's magnetosphere. The ultraviolet is absorbed by the stratospheric ozone. The light which comes from the sun, it is in the form of which spectrum? It is in the form of visible spectrum. This is basically the white light or the visible light which falls on earth between 0.4 to 0.7 microns. So atmosphere is basically largely transparent to the visible spectrum, right? That is why you're able to see this multicolored shirt that I'm wearing. You're able to see this black color, white color. Now what happens is there is no gas in the atmosphere which is capable of absorbing the heat from this. So ultimately the light will fall on the earth's surface, the earth will work upon it, and then the earth will radiate out its own terrestrial radiation. So the terrestrial radiation will be basically captured by what? So this terrestrial radiation is in the form of infrared. So the greenhouse gases and the greenhouse substances in the atmosphere are capable of trapping this carbon dioxide, water vapor, all of that are capable of trapping this insolation, the outgoing basically long wave radiation of the earth. This is called as OLR, outgoing long wave radiation of the earth out there. So the atmosphere in a nutshell, in the troposphere, it is heated from below. The heating of the atmosphere is from where? It is from below. That is why when I'm talking about the troposphere out there, with increase in height, your temperature starts decreasing. This is referred to as normal lapse rate. And guys, any variations in this will be predominantly referred to as what? Will be predominantly referred to as the weather. Any variations over here, right? So again, which of the following statement is correct? So in this question, statement number A is wrong because the atmosphere is heated more by the terrestrial radiation than the incoming solar radiation. There is no gas in the atmosphere to absorb it. And statement number 2 is correct. So the correct answer is option number D. Then, which of the following regions has the world's largest tropical peatland, which holds about the year's worth of global carbon emissions from fossil fuels, and the possible destruction of which can exert detrimental effect on global climate? So now, when I'm talking about such questions, guys, it might happen that you might not be knowing about these regions. So let us address this question from a surprise perspective. Means you don't know the answer to this. Can we really use some makeshift approach out there? What we call in Hindi as jugaad. So pitland meaning the swamps, pitland meaning the marshes. So but naturally, where the marshes or where the pitland or where the swamps can basically form, in those areas where you can have flooding, in those areas where you have good rainfall. So flooding combined with rainfall will lead to surface inundation. So if I'm talking about which regions in the world typically experience more flooding, so I can talk about the equatorial areas out there. So we have the Amazon, we have the Congo, and we have the Borneo. So pitlands, do we find in the Amazon? If you go by the logic out there, see, Amazon is a very big river and it receives its water not only from its head streams but also from its big tributaries. And Amazon's delta itself is huge out there. If I'm talking about the Central Africa, here we have the world's deepest river. The world's deepest river is Congo. And Congo will start from the Katanga Plateau and it will move first north, then it will turn towards the west, meeting the Atlantic. So Congo, the world's deepest river, in some places the depth of the river is between 100 to 200 meters. In some places, it is very deep, between 100 to 200 meters. So what happens is when it floods, when it rains incessantly, the drainage of the Congo is not that wide, and hence the world's largest peatlands will be found where? The world's largest peatland will be found in the equatorial region, the Congo basin. See, here you have Amazon, here you have Rio de la Plata, which is basically in South America. So going by the logic out there, the Congo basin seems to be the most logical answer. So the correct answer is option number B, the Congo basin. Now, next question, 2024 again. Consider the following description. Annual and daily range of temperature is low, meaning energy deficit regions. Precipitation occurs throughout the year. Okay. The precipitation varies between 50 to 250 centimeters. Can this be the equatorial type of climate? The answer is no. This can't be the equatorial type of climate. So if this can't be the equatorial type of climate, what type of climate it can be? Because in the equatorial type of climate only you have rainfall in the excess of 200 to 50 centimeters. Here the average temperature has to be around 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. So the crux word is that the average and daily temperatures are basically low. So temperate areas, energy deficit regions, and precipitation occurring throughout the year, meaning you need to have onshore winds. Where can we find this? So this is found where? Very simple. Here, if I'm taking you to the west coast of North America, to the west coast of South America, west coast of New Zealand out there, so you're having the mighty Rockies, we have the mighty Andes, and we have the mighty Southern Alps, which are acting as orographic barriers to the incoming westerly winds out there. So that is why if you go over here, the rainfall is widespread. Westerlies, as all of you know, they are fairly consistent winds, they are fairly strong winds, and plus they will be bringing in rainfall from the Pacific, from the Southern Ocean out there. That is why if I'm taking you over here, you find the world's tallest trees, the giant sequoia, redwood trees out there, right? The same thing is basically sure for the South America, the Andes, Chile and Argentina, and the same thing is witnessed on the west coast of New Zealand, where you do find temperate evergreen rainforests. So the two words are confusing, temperate and evergreen. Why? Because of the arrangement that you are having mountains which are acting as orographic barriers. Yes, Rishi Pandey, good afternoon. So the correct answer to this is it equatorial type of climate? The answer is no, because it's hot. China type of climate, not so much rainfall. Humid subtropical type of climate, again no, the temperature. The correct answer is option number D, marine west coast climate. So you will typically find it on the west coast of North America, some regions of UK, the Shetland Islands above, the Orkney Islands. You can also find it near like the Scandinavian Denmark Peninsula, Jutland Peninsula, and you can find it in South America, and of course on the west coast of the New Zealand Southern Island. Now let us consider next question, question number 5 out there. With reference to water vapor, which of the following statements are correct? It is a gas, the amount of which decreases with altitude. Then its maximum percentage is at the poles. Going by the logic, it's a gas, amount of which decreases with altitude. Of course, if I'm talking about water vapor, so water vapor is basically in the atmosphere is the resultant of what? It is resultant either of some volcanic eruption or due to the intense vertical convection. So with height, as the temperature decreases and as we enter into the stratosphere, we have inverted laps. So its percentage is bound to decrease. This is a correct statement. Will its percentage be maximum at the poles? At the poles, we are having the polar high pressure. Above, you can't have any convection out there. And poles, they're naturally dry because cold air will be very dense. Cold air is going to be dry. It can't hold more moisture. So this statement is correct. So which of the following statement is correct? Only one. Okay. Now those of you are watching me live right now, Kanwar ma'am, Rishi Pandey Kumar sir, are you all understanding the level of questions which are being asked? Are you appreciating the solution? Because see guys, I am doing this just for you. I am revising the concept, I am marking up the locations on the atlas, and I am giving you as to how to approach the question. This I am doing all of you for all of you because I want that you should study in this way. Analysis of PYQ does not mean are you getting the hang of it or not. You should know the characteristics of the location. You should understand the weather pattern, the climatic patterns, and you should be able to understand the concepts too. Okay. Now let's move ahead. Next question. So consider the following statements. High clouds primarily reflect solar radiation and cool the surface of the earth. Low clouds have a higher absorption of infrared radiation emanating from the earth's surface and thus cause warming effect. Which of the following statements are correct? High clouds primarily reflect solar radiation and cool the surface of earth. Now, when I'm talking about high clouds, what are the high clouds? So the high clouds typically refer to which type of clouds? Such clouds which are having height more than 8,000 meters. So such type of clouds, they are referred to as which clouds? They are referred to as the cirrus clouds. So if you talk about the cirrus clouds, so cirrus clouds out there, they have basically a fair weather look, they have wispy look, weather look out there, right? So such clouds, they cannot cause rainfall. They normally have ice crystals. Will they be capable of reflecting back the solar radiation? The answer is no. Then the second question out there, low clouds have high absorption of infrared radiation emanating from the Earth's land surface and thus cause warming effect. Is it so? We have already discussed this is the role of what? This is the role of greenhouse gases and substances. See, the question has been repeated just 2 years after 2024, 2022. That is why PYQ analysis is very important. Why? You will get to know which concepts to target. So the same question has been targeted over here. The same question has been targeted in 2022, guys. So this is the role of greenhouse gases because clouds will never absorb, they will reflect. The surface reflectivity, the albedo of the clouds is very high. So the high clouds will reflect the solar radiation and cool the surface. No, it is rather the cumulonimbus clouds, the thunderstorm clouds which extend for the height of the entire troposphere, which reflect the sun's rays. That is why the equatorial regions are not the warmest regions out there. Why? Because equatorial regions will not be receiving the brunt of the insolation. It is rather the subtropical high pressure belt which will be receiving the maximum insolation. Yes, Priyanshuji, good afternoon. So the correct answer is neither statement 1 is correct, neither statement 2 is correct. So option number D. Then let us consider question number 7. Consider the following zones 2021. In tropical zone, the western sections of the oceans are warmer than the eastern sections owing to the influence of the trade winds. In temperate zone, the westerlies make the eastern sections of the ocean warmer than the western sections. In the past 5 years, I found this question to be the toughest out there of climatology. The toughest question, I found this one, because even though you think that this question is easy, but the understanding which goes behind this is really very much intricate, it's very much detailed. So let us try to analyze. The question says that in the tropical zone, the western sections of the oceans are warmer than the eastern sections owing to the influence of trade winds. So now let me take you to the tropical sections. So this is tropical ocean, this, and this, right? So if I'm talking about the tropical oceans, the western sections are warmer than the eastern sections owing to the influence of trade winds. Is it so? Aroi ma'am, good afternoon, nice to meet you. The answer is yes. Why? Because when I'm talking about the western waters out here, what is going to happen? So, if this is the equator, we have the equatorial currents, North Atlantic equatorial current, the South Atlantic equatorial current. This equatorial current will pile up the waters towards the west. This is referred to as the warm western pool. This is happening because of what? This is happening because of Ekman transport. So the trade winds, they will be piling up the waters where? They will be piling up the waters towards the tropical west. This is referred to as what? This is referred to as the western intensification. Because in the middle of the oceans, little bit towards the tropical west, we have the central water mount. The water comes down from the central water mount as spiraling gyres, which along the coast is perceived as the ocean currents. So in the west coast of Australia too, sorry, in the east coast of Australia too, we have the warm western Pacific pool, which is very, very essential basically for the formation of La Nina. If it starts to flow back, if the counter equatorial current basically intensifies, we have the occurrence of El Nino. So this question is basically related to the concept of Ekman transport. The trade winds will transport the waters from the equatorial east to the equatorial west towards the tropical areas. So the North Atlantic, the equatorial currents will be turning themselves into what? The equatorial currents, they will be turning themselves into the main western boundary currents, Gulf Stream, then Brazilian current, the Mozambique current, the Eastern Australian current, Philippines current, Kuroshio current. So these are your main western boundary currents out there, right? The effective turning of the equatorial currents itself due to coastline modification. So this statement is correct. Statement 1 is correct. Then in the temperate zone, westerlies make the eastern sections of ocean warmer than the western section. So if I'm again talking about the temperate zone, the westerlies over here, over here, over here, and over here. The westerlies will make the eastern sections warmer than the western zones. Again, yes. Why? Because what will happen because of westerlies? Westerlies will be bringing in heavy moisture. So precipitation will be very high. Plus the westerlies, they will start thumping the waters towards the south out there. So basically the waters are pushed towards the south again because of Ekman transport, plus you are having good precipitation. Coming in from where? Coming in from the tropical and the equatorial areas called as the atmospheric rivers out there. So in the temperate zone, westerlies do make the eastern sections warmer than the western sections. So both the statements are correct. Statement number 1 and statement number 2. I guess the toughest question out there of oceanography that I have seen up till now in 2021. Okay. Then question number 8. Jet streams occur in the northern hemisphere only. Is it so? No, we have jet streams in the southern hemisphere too. STWJ and the SPWJ. Only some cyclones develop an eye. Yes, absolutely right. The temperate cyclones will not be having high. only the tropical cyclones will develop an eye. Eye will be the zone of convergence, in the sense that when I'm talking about the eye of a cyclone, if this is the eye, this eye is acting like a low pressure zone. It's a low pressure core. The winds will be basically sucked in, the winds will be spiraling, they will be going up and then they will be diverging. So above you will be having a high pressure divergence zone, below you will be having a low pressure convergence zone. The winds will spiral, they will go up around a vertical column and then they will diverge. So this is a tropical cyclone. Temperate cyclone is basically frontal interaction, the warm front and the cold front. So they won't develop an eye. This statement is wrong, this statement is correct. The temperature inside the eye of the cyclone is basically nearly 10 degrees Celsius lesser than the surrounding. Is it so? This is low pressure, this is warm core. This is basically because of what? This is basically because of the intense insolation of the sun. So rather it's very high. And plus, if you are having high pressure, the sun's rays are able to penetrate directly because above you won't be having clouds. Can we see this, sir? Do we have any practical application of this? Let's go and understand. So recently, USA was uh, basically battered with the one of the deadliest storm this year. So the hurricane's name was Melissa, right? So Melissa eye, if I'm showcasing you, so see this is the eye of the Melissa hurricane or the Melissa cyclone. So this is the eye. You can clearly see the high pressure divergence zone, clear skies, sunlight penetrating directly. So rather here the temperature will be very high. It's a warm core cyclone out there, right? So which of the following statement is are correct? Only statement number 2 is correct. Only some cyclones will develop an eye. Then which of the following national parks lies completely in the temperate alpine zone? Alpine zone meaning the altitude has to be more than 4,000 meters, because then only you will be finding the grasslands, the margs, Gulmarg, Sonmarg, Tanmarg. Manas National Park, no. Assam Brahmaputra Plains. Namdafa National Park. Namdafa National Park, basically it will start from the lower reaches and then it will move up. So Namdafa National Park is the only national park in the entire world where you find 4 feline species. You find tiger, you find leopard, you find spotted leopard, you also find snow leopard. You have gradation, right? So Neora National Park, again no. Valley of Flowers National Park, yes. The Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve. So in the Valley of Flowers National Park, you are basically having mosses, lichens and rhododendrons. So the only correct logical interpretation is Valley of Flowers National Park, because this lies completely in the Great Himalayan Belt. No doubt, Namdafa also lies it, but the answer to this is elevation. So this national park, if I'm showcasing you the elevation of the Valley of Flowers National Park, let me just showcase you. If you see the elevation out there, so the elevation generally ranging from 3,200 up to 6,000 meters. Though some sources mentioned it up to 3,900 meters. So the elevation is very high. So once you cross such high elevation, you won't be finding the tropical or the equatorial characteristics. Everything will be getting converted into what? It will be getting converted into such kind of topography. And if you talk about Neora National Park, let me showcase you Neora too, because it's a confusing entry out there. So you should know how to basically capitalize on the national parks too. So if you talk about the Neora National Park also is basically an high altitude park, but altitude ranging about 183 meters at its lowest limit to around 3,200 meters at its highest point. So they will all start from a lesser altitude, they will go to a high altitude. Neora National Park is near Darjeeling. The crux to this is you should know the average elevation of the parks too. So unless and until we know the Valley of Flowers National Park, that there you find mosses, lichens and rhododendrons, you won't be able to answer such type of question. So mind you, this is bullet number 3 of your main syllabus, flora, fauna and the critical time location changes in them according to basically the increase in the or the variations in the topography. So please prepare national parks from this perspective: the flora, the fauna, the elevation, the topography. If you rectify the national parks, which national park is where, which national park has what, such type of questions will not come into your gambit. So you have to prepare the national parks from this perspective, then only you will find such kind of questions pretty comfortable out there. Okay, so now let's move ahead. uh, why are dewdrops not found on a cloudy night? So cloudy night meaning the temperatures will be high because there will be water vapor. So water vapor meaning the real feel will be more. So for dewdrops to find, you require basically the freezing point. So no, sorry, my bad. You require basically the point where the water droplets condense. So the water vapor is condensing into water droplets. So clouds absorb the radiation released from the Earth's surface. Is it so? No. Rather, the clouds will reflect back. Clouds reflect back the Earth's radiation. Yes, this is the correct thing. If the clouds are reflecting back the radiation, what will happen? There will be no condensation because the real field will increase. The Earth's surface would have low temperature on cloudy night. Absolutely wrong, because cloudy nights will ensure that the surface has higher temperature. Clouds reflecting back the heat. Clouds deflect the blowing wind to ground level. I guess this is absurd kind of interpretation. So the correct interpretation is clouds reflect back the Earth's radiation. That is when it is happening. So basically you can have dewdrops or you can have frost. Frost is when the condensation occurs below the freezing point, then we can have the formation of of the frost. And if the condensation is happening above the freezing point, then basically we refer to it as the dewdrop forming, which you typically find in cold winter mornings, cloudless, but the temperature out there, the surrounding temperature is not below the freezing point. So this is basically a very good question. Then next question, question number 12 out there. Each day is more or less the same. The morning is clear, bright with a sea breeze. As the sun climbs up in the sky, heat mounts up, dark clouds form. Then the rain comes with thunder and lightning, but the rain is soon over. Which of the following is described the above passage? So which of the following reasons? Savanna, I guess no, because each day is more or less the same. No. Monsoon, again, for 8 months you will be having dry conditions, for 4 months you will be having rainfall. Mediterranean, absolutely no. Mediterranean type of climate is 300 days of summer and 60 days of winter rains. More or less the same, means the weather conditions are not appreciably altering. Equatorial type of climate. So every day the same weather, every day the same kind of climatic condition. That is why the equatorial type of climate is that type of climate where we don't have any seasons out there, right? So please remember, the equatorial type of climate is basically that type of climate which describes this the best. During the daytime, the humidity will build up. In the late evening time, we will be having rainfall between 4 to 6 p.m. The rainfall will dissipate. The sky will again get clear. Again, till morning, the sky will be clear. In the morning, again, the humidity will start building. So the equatorial type of climate. Why? The position of the equator with respect to the sun is fixed. It's unchanging out there. Okay. Then consider the following statements. The wind which flow between 30° north and 60° south latitudes throughout the year are known as westerlies. Is it so? Between 30° north and 60 degrees of latitude throughout there are known as westerlies. The answer is no. So 30° and 60° will be known as westerlies. This is 30° north and 60 degrees of latitudes. 30° north and 60 degrees of southern latitudes. You will be having the northeast trades, the southeast trades, and the westerlies. The answer is no. Yes, 12th answer is B. Yeah, okay. Let me just answer it, Rishiji. The moist air masses that cause winter rains in the northwest regions are a part of westerlies. Yes, of course. The upper tropospheric westerlies. The upper tropospheric westerlies, the jet streams, the Ross waves will be bringing in the western disturbances. So they are a part of westerlies. Which of the two is correct? Option number B. Yeah, Rishiji, you are right. So this is the correct answer. Then the seasonal reversal of winds in which of the typical characteristic of? I guess a straightforward question. a very famous Bollywood song, "Mausam ki tarah tum bhi badal to na jaoge." So the phenomenon of periodic seasonal reversal of wind, discovered by Arabic explorer slash trader Al Masudi, he named it as Mausam. From the Mausam, this word was coined, called as the monsoon type of climate, right? So for 6 months, the winds will be coming from southwest, and for 6 months the winds in India will come from the northeast. Right now we are in the retreating season. From Monday onwards, we'll be venturing out into the northeast monsoon season. During a thunderstorm, the thunder in the skies is produced by, so thunder. So when you are having intense thunderstorm, you are having intense charge build up between the sky and the ground. When this charge basically discharges, so you are having a lightning strike coming. This lightning strike basically raises the temperature, and it basically starts expanding the air suddenly. So that sudden expansion produces the thunder sound. Okay. So the meeting of cumulonimbus clouds in the sky? Absolutely not. Lightning that separates the nimbus clouds? No. It's not the lightning, it is the heating. So as the heat comes, as the heat dissipates, the clouds, they start moving apart from each other. The water basically in between the clouds out there, it basically super evaporates in the middle. So you are having a lightning strike straight away reaching the ground. So violent upward movement of air and water particles? The answer is no. So which of the following codes given below? None of the above produces the thunder, because for thunder you require the lightning discharge. That lightning discharge will basically super hit up the clouds out there. So that is basically the thunder which you hear. That is why first you will see the lightning and then you will hear the thunder. Of course, light travels faster than sound. That is the logical interpretation. But after the lightning, you will have the thunder. It is not vice versa. Yes, you are right, Rishiji. Then, which of the following is the characteristic of the tropical savanna region? Savanna region, okay. So, tropical savanna, the Mato Grasso, the Campos Cerrato. So, this is Mato Grasso, Campos Cerrato, plateau of Borborema. Then the Serengeti Plains. In India, we have the central Madhya Pradesh, Kuno, Satpura, Bandhavgarh. We have Pench, Tadoba, Nagzira, and then you can have it over here in northwest Australia too. Right? Shivam Kumar Das sir, good afternoon, beta. Rainfall throughout the year? The answer will be no. Why? Because here we'll be having distinct wet season called as the monsoon. Rainfall in winter only? Again, no. The rainfall will come during the monsoon season, right? An extremely short dry season? No, it's not short, it's rather prolonged. A definite dry and wet season? Yes. So the tropical savanna or the tropical monsoon type of climate, right? East coast of Brazil, east coast of Africa, east coast of India, and the northwestern Australia, the monsoon type of climate. So are you seeing the focus on monsoon, guys? How many times the questions have been asked? So please understand and appreciate that winds are very, very important. So the correct answer is question 15 is the option number D out there. Please, winds, monsoons are very, very important. Do have some special focus, do revise these topics again and again. Let's move ahead. Consider the following statements. The duration of the monsoon decreases from southern India to northern India. Is this right? Yes, absolutely. Because when I'm talking about the monsoon, so the monsoon winds, they are oriented on the basis of the Rajasthan's low pressure and the low pressure over the Pakistan plains and the ITCZ forming over the northern plains of India. So Kerala will be the state which will receive almost 6 months of rainfall. Rest majority of India will receive rainfall from Bay of Bengal branch. So as the sun comes down, basically as the sun moves from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere, the monsoon winds withdraw. So statement 1 is correct. The amount of annual rainfall in the northern plains of India decreases from east to west. Is it right? So when I'm talking about India, which is the main rain bearing system, so this is our southwest monsoon drift. The southwest monsoon drift, due to the peninsular triangular shape of India, it bifurcates into two rain-bearing systems. We have the Arabian Sea branch and the other one is basically the Bay of Bengal branch. So when I'm talking about the Bay of Bengal branch out there, the Bay of Bengal branch is oriented on the basis of low pressure over Rajasthan and the Punjab plains of Pakistan. Plus, you also have the formation of ITCZ, right? So the Arabian Sea branch is not the most, what I can say, moisture-laden branch in India. Why? It will not cause rainfall in majority of parts of India. Why so? Because over here we have Western Ghats, which do not let the Arabian Sea branch to enter into India. Plus, the Aravallis are also oriented as such that the Arabian Sea branch becomes parallel to it. So ultimately, when I'm talking about the main rain-bearing system, the main rain system is Bay of Bengal. So when I'm talking about Bay of Bengal, guys, the Bay of Bengal will be one such monsoon branch which is not intercepted effectively by the Eastern Ghats. The Eastern Ghats being discontinuous. Utkal Hills, then you have having the northeastern Andhra, uplands Araku Valley, then you have Yerramalla, Narramalla, Pankonda, Velikonda. In Tamil Nadu, you have Jabadi, Shevaroy, Panchmalai. So the Eastern Ghats, they are very much discontinuous, they are very much denuded, they are very much eroded. That is why Bay of Bengal branch is able to effectively enter. And that is why, guys, the vegetation of India is also closely linked to the Bay of Bengal branch. So the amount of rainfall also decreases from east to west. Absolutely right. That is why on the east side, we'll be finding the tropical wet deciduous, dry deciduous, tropical bush, tropical thorn. And ultimately in Rajasthan, we'll be finding the xerophytic vegetation out there. So this is very, very important. So this is question number 16 out there, that it decreases. After this, let's move to the next question out there. What could be the main reason for the formation of African and Eurasian desert belts? African and Eurasian desert belts. Okay. It is located in the subtropical high pressure cells. Yes. So subtropical high pressure belt, but naturally it is under the influence of warm ocean currents. Absolutely wrong. Rather, here you have cold ocean currents. The Benguela, the Canaries current, the California current, the Western Australian current. So basically, when I'm talking about the formation of the deserts out there, only first option is correct. The subtropical high pressure cells. Sir, eastern and western join in the anomaly peak, right? No, 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 beta. Eastern and western Ghats, they are separated by Kaveri basin. You have Kaveri basin which separates the eastern and the western Ghats. Please don't confuse with it. If I'm showcasing you the exact map out there, ऋषि पांडे जी, मैप भी दिखा देता हूँ आपको ताकि आप समझ लो अच्छे से. देखिए, कंफ्यूज मत रहिए, कंफ्यूजन में बिल्कुल नहीं रहना. आपने पूछ लिया तो मैप भी दिखा देता हूँ आपको ताकि आपके दिमाग में बैठ जाए. कोई कितना भी कहे, मानना नहीं. ऑलवेज basically focus on what you see and not what one says. So this is our South India. If I'm taking you to the South India out there, see this. So this is our southern hill complex, the Nilgiri hills, the Palaghat hills, Palakkad Palghat gap, Annamalai, Palani, Sirumalai and Varushna. This is your southern hill complex. And this over here is your Kaveri basin. And from here your eastern Ghats start. Okay. This is your eastern Ghats, Panchamalai, Shevaroy and Javadi. So Kaveri basin will separate this. Please make sure that you understand, appreciate this. This is very important. Okay. So the westerlies and the southern hemisphere are stronger and persistent than in the northern hemisphere. Why? Southern hemisphere has lead mass compared to the northern hemisphere. I guess this option is correct. In the southern hemisphere, we do have a little bit of South America, Africa and Australia, right? Coriolis force in the southern hemisphere is higher as compared to the northern hemisphere. This is absurd. It depends upon which latitude you are, not in which hemisphere you are. Okay. So the correct answer is option number A, right? The next question, a geographic region has the following distinct characteristics: warm and dry climate, mild and wet winters, okay, evergreen oak meaning deciduous. So warm and dry climate, mild and wet winter, 300 days of summer, 60 days of winter rains, Mediterranean. That's it. That is why I'm telling you guys, Gcleon part 2 is very important. If you have not done Gcleon part 2, chapter number 15 and 25, questions will not be able to get solved by you all. So please remember, chapter number 15 to chapter number 25 of Gcleon are very, very important. Certificate, physical and human geography. Or you can just basically draw a world map and you can mark all the different climatic types out there, ranging from equatorial, tropical, then temperate, taiga, steppe. You can go to tundra, the subpolar, everything. You can just mention it on one map, so that such type of questions are not basically answered by you all, because these questions will be those questions who will be answered by almost everyone, those who are prepared diligently. So please don't falter on such questions. Okay. Which of the following wind deflect to the left and in the southern hemisphere? I guess the Coriolis force. Coriolis force is because of the rotation of Earth. Direct, straightforward question. Then question number 21. In the world, the tropical deserts occur along the western margins of continents within the trade wind belt. Of course, yes. In India, the eastern Himalayan regions gets high rainfall from the northeast winds. Is it so? No. The Bay of Bengal is the main rain-bearing system. The Cherrapunji, Mawsynram, they will be getting rainfall from the Bay of Bengal branch. So again, only which statement is correct? Statement number 1. Statement number 2 is absurd kind of statement. Okay. Then question number 22, everybody match the list with the correct answer. Great Victoria Desert is in Australia. Grand Canyon is it in USA. Lake Winnipeg is in Canada. Very big lake out there, rather one of the biggest lakes in Canada. And Southern Alps are in New Zealand. So the correct answer is 1 B. 1 is basically 1, then 2 is basically 4, 3 is basically 2, and 4 is basically 3. Correct option is B out there, right? Assertion and reason, my most favorite type of questions. Wind patterns are clockwise in the northern hemisphere and anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere. The direction of wind patterns in the northern and southern hemisphere are governed by the Coriolis force. So, is it true the wind patterns are clockwise in the northern hemisphere and anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere? Is it so? Wind patterns. It is not asking about the cyclones. It is talking about the wind patterns. So, the northeast trades and basically the southeast trades, wind patterns will be how? They will be clockwise in the northern hemisphere and they will be anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere. So, the correct answer will be that if I'm talking about the wind patterns, how do the cyclones basically rotate out there? So, patterns, if I'm talking only about the winds, they are basically clockwise. But if I'm talking about the cyclones out there, so let's say this is a low pressure core. If I'm talking about the northern hemisphere out there, so in the northern hemisphere, the winds will always converge towards their right and meet over here. The winds will always converge towards their right and meet over here. The winds will always converge towards right and meet over here. The winds will always converge towards right and meet over here. So how is this direction of spinning? This is rather anti-clockwise. And in the southern hemisphere, if I'm talking about, if this is the low pressure, the winds will converge towards their left. They will spiral towards left and converge. So they are deflecting towards the left. They'll be deflecting towards the left. They'll be deflecting towards the left. So if you see this, this is clockwise. The wind pattern in sense of the northeast and southeast trades, that is not being asked. That is asked with respect to the formation of the cyclones out there. So they are rather exactly opposite. It's anti-clockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. So statement A is false and statement R is true out there. So option number D, right? Then which of the following statements is correct? Cirrus clouds are composed of ice crystals. Absolutely yes. Exhibit a flat base and have appearance of rising domes. No, these are basically our cumulonimbus clouds which have the anvil shape like this. Cumulus clouds are white and thin and form delicate patches, give fibrous and faded appearance. No, these are rather the cirrus clouds. Cumulus clouds are classified as high clouds? No, these are classified as low level clouds. So correct answer is answer number A, 21st question. Okay. Then the equatorial regions, the year is divided into 4 main seasons. Wrong. In Mediterranean region, the summer receives more rain. No, winters will receive more rainfall. The low pressure core. Yes, yes, you are right, Rishiji. In China type of climate, rainfall occurs throughout the year. Yes, absolutely right. Land and sea breeze. So widespread rainfall, but with summer maximum. Tropical highlands exhibit vertical zonation of different climates. Of course, the Kashmir, the Himalayan belt, starting from basically the Terai belt, then you have the coniferous belt, the alpine belt, and the taiga and the tundra belt ultimately. So the tundra vegetation, the alpine vegetation. So correct answers are basically 3 and 4, option number D. Then which of the following weather conditions is indicated by sudden fall in barometer reading? Sudden fall in barometer reading means the pressure is decreasing. Of course, calm weather, no, it will be high pressure. Cold and dry weather, nothing to do with barometer. Hot and sunny weather, again, hot and sunny and hot, meaning you are having persistent low pressure. Cold and dry means persistent high pressure. The crux to the question is sudden fall. It's not persistent. So the correct answer is stormy weather, because whenever a storm will come, suddenly your pressure will fall. So sudden fall. If you are having a persistent fall, then the correct answer would be hot and sunny weather. But sudden fall, the answer should be stormy weather. Okay, chalo. Now the last question about the roaring 40s. So roaring 40s, furious 50s, striking 60s and screaming 70s, the westerlies of the southern hemisphere. They blow uninterrupted in the northern and southern hemisphere. Wrong. They blow with great strength and consistency. Right. Their direction is generally from northwest to east. Yes. Overcast skies, rain and raw weather are generally associated with them. Absolutely right. So the correct answer is option number B. So guys, here I've finished off the climatology questions of the past 27 years. Please make sure that you understand from where the questions are being asked. Majority of the questions are conceptual based questions. Current affairs do not come so often in climatology, it's pure concepts. Now next year, where next Saturday when we're doing geomorphology, there you can expect some current affairs, because geomorphology being little bit factual. So if something happens on the land surface, it is being asked. Okay. So I hope and I pray that all of you are benefiting from this. Feel free to comment after the lecture. Do you all enjoy such type of sessions? Because I am doing this for you only, right? So make sure that you follow these sessions. Make sure that you understand how I'm targeting this, how I'm able to solve this. This should be your prima facie, or you can say this should be a standard operating procedure whenever you are solving PYQs. You should be able to basically pinpoint the concepts. You should be able to generalize the concepts based on the regional scale, pinpoint on the basis of concepts, and most importantly, when I'm talking about climatology, it has to have basically three things. Number first, you need to have good understanding of temperature patterns, the pressure patterns, the associated winds out there. This is very, very important. Okay, chalo. So thank you everybody for today. Please feel free to connect me on Telegram. My official handle on Telegram is CSC with PM. So this is my official handle out there. So do feel free to connect with me on Telegram. Okay, thank you everybody. I will see you all on next Saturday where I'll be discussing the questions related to climatology. And please, everybody remember that StudyIQ has always been at the forefront for all of you to achieve your dream of becoming a civil servant. So if you go to the StudyIQ's website, now we have the final mile sale happening because the year is ending now. So I guess if you are preparing for 2027 or 2028, now is the right time to invest your efforts. Or if you are appearing for 2026, the Success in Prelims crash course is now available, where you can revise everything in the same way we are doing right now. So I'm able to solve these questions just because of you. Most welcome, Kanwar ma'am. See, that is what I believe in organic way of teaching. You should be able to understand the questions from a conceptual perspective. Okay. So uh, any course you go, and if you want to buy, just go on the buy now button, click on the buy now button, and if you use my code PM Live, Pritesh Maturkar Live, PM Live, and if you apply, so you will be getting additional discounts if you apply my code PMLive, which is valid across all the courses of StudyIQ. Okay. So on the behalf of the organization, on the behalf of StudyIQ, I thank each and every one of you. Please keep on working hard and smart. I promise to you all that I will be covering this PYQs in the same fashion we did today. And before prelims, I'll bringing up dedicated current affairs sessions also. Okay. So please work hard and smart. Keep on smiling because that is the ultimate crux of life. Okay. Thank you everybody. Bye bye. Take care.